Culture Brand Talks. I am your host, John Ostos, aka Ill Eagle CEO, and I'm with my co-host Dion, Two Cup Larry.
Yes, sir.
And there's some pretty good background on how that came to be, right? Because apparently you always have two cups.
I just keep two cups in my hand, so especially at the gym.
Yeah, so I think we might have a nickname. We'll see how it plays out over the next couple episodes. But today we do have with us a guest again, Garrett Query, aka GQ. Excuse me. Garrett was actually on the podcast once already in person, and I made a mistake with the audio or the video recording. I don't know what kind of mistake I made. It just wasn't there when we were done and we were editing. So Garrett gave us an opportunity to do this over with him and do it some justice by way of Zoom. So Garrett, welcome. He's here from Arizona on Zoom with us. Garrett, go ahead and say what's up, man.
Thanks so much for having me again. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to chopping it up and getting into some fun stuff over the next hour.
Likewise, man.
For sure.
Let's jump right into it, bro, and just kind of talk a real quick synopsis of where we're at as far as why Garrett's on today. Garrett started with us as a personal trainer at Metroflex back in 2015-ish. And one thing I want to touch on too while we're at it, Garrett, and I'll ask you to do a little more formal introduction than I'm doing, but just kind of talk about how you ended up at Metroflex, and from there where that journey took you and how you've evolved and come to be intentional strength out in Arizona where you are right now, where you've got a great online coaching business and you're building a pretty well established team there for the locals in Arizona. But I also want to touch on you being a personal trainer and the relatability that most people find with you in terms of what I think your niche is, because we didn't really talk about this last time, which is why I'm glad we get to do this again, because you have an amazing weight loss story to begin with. And so when it comes to relatability and being with a coach who understands what people are going through in their journeys or when they're on a big weight loss mission or they're coming from a really big weight loss, Garrett's about one of the most relatable people I know who's actually done it and sustained and evolved into becoming a personal trainer and helping other people on their journey now. So I think, man, I want to give you huge credit for that because we didn't do that last time. But now let's just elaborate a little bit more on that for you, like where you started out before the weight loss journey, what you were doing and how you kind of came to be, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So going all the way back there, man, I mean, I grew up in an overweight family. My dad was a chef and my mom struggled with her weight her whole life. She had her own set of traumatic childhood issues and stuff like that, and definitely chose to eat her emotions. And that was something that was definitely passed on to me as far as that behavior trait. And I struggled with that my whole life. And in turn, I struggled heavily with confidence in myself, belief in myself, all of that. And so by the age of, 17, by the age of 17, I was pretty sick of it. I had gotten to 360 pounds. I had graduated high school a semester early. And I went on my own fat loss journey. I had hired a coach at the time, started working out. And over the course of about 9 months, I lost like 70 or 80 pounds completely naturally. I got down to like 285 and was at that time the best shape of my life. Fast forward about, I was supposed to go to the University of Nebraska for pre-dental, had a pretty junky car. It broke down on me, and my housing that I had lined up was pulled from me. So my tuition went from like $13,000 a year to $26,000, and my car broke down like a month later. And so I made a decision at that point to not go back to school immediately in the fall, right after graduation, and to just, work, save up some money, etc. And unfortunately, 6 months later, we actually lost my mom, to which my health. Yeah, absolutely. So my health radically declined after that. And definitely, went back to old habits and ways of eating my feelings. Like, I think at that point in my life, man, I remember as I was eating McDonald's drive-through probably 5 to 6 days a week on the way to work. And I would regularly go out for lunch and get like Little Caesars, and I would eat in almost an entire large pizza on my own, order of crazy bread, and wash it down with some soda. And that was a pretty regular thing. And at the time, like, I grew up cooking and everything and all that stuff. And, my dad was a chef trained in French cuisine. So I knew how to make all the really, really tasty meals with a lot of butter, a lot of fat, and a lot of noodles. So I would cook. I was really passionate about cooking back then, and I would cook quite frequently too. So my weight quickly went. So that summer I'd gotten down to like 285. By the time my mom had passed, I was probably back up to about 315. I had gained back about 20 pounds because I wasn't regularly training. And then it skyrocketed to about 390 pounds in under a year.
And how tall are you, Garrett?
Five at my tallest, I was like 5'11". I'm probably 5'10" now.
So that's some significant weight for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was easily wearing like 5XL shirts at the time. Had I worn my jeans where they were supposed to be, I probably would have been wearing like a 54-inch waist, but I would wear like a 48 and just tuck it under my gut.
Damn. So you just fought back out of that with training and diet, and at this point, did you hit another personal trainer or what?
Yeah, so I made a decision at 19 years old. I really just didn't see a way out. My dad was obese. One of my grandfathers was obese. My sister was obese. My mom was about the only one, who wasn't obese, and the reason being is she had gastric bypass. I think 12 years before she passed away. And she was the only one who had like lost weight in my family and really sustained it long term. And so I felt that was the only way out. So I did make a decision at 19, and I had gastric bypass, but I definitely looked at it very differently. When I made that decision and had gastric bypass, it was like 2 weeks post-op. I mean, I think it was like the day of surgery, we weren't, they limit you a lot because I have 6 incisions on my stomach, and I was getting up and walking as soon as possible. And then as soon as I got home, I got cleared for daily walks. And I mean, I was walking as much as I possibly could. And I was like bugging the doctor's office. I was like, can I work out yet? Can I work out yet? Can I work out yet? And as soon as I got that freedom to go work out, like it was kind of like a drug. And I just never, I jumped in head first and started getting after it. And I lost 100 and my initial weight loss, I lost like 165 pounds in like 16 months. Yeah, just shy of a year and a half.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's insane. And you've kept it off since?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've definitely gone through ebbs and flows. Both intentional bulking and unintentional bulking as, life happens, and there's definitely things, slip ups and stuff like that. But I've kept it off. I've never gotten over the highest I've ever been since is like 247 pounds.
What's the lowest you've been since? Obviously, you've been doing some shredding before, and then we've seen it just interesting.
Yeah, so the lowest I've ever been was I did a photo shoot prep back in 2018 while I was still at Metroflex, and I was the lowest scale weight I saw was like 201.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you were pretty legit then too. I remember the photo shoots you did, because you did a photo shoot here and at another Metroflex in Minneapolis or something like that, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. And so all that led you into becoming a trainer?
Yeah, I mean, so I then, over the years, like, because I wanted to learn more, and I had hired a trainer in like 2012, 2013, and maybe it was later than that, and he encouraged me. He's like, man, dude, you got a really relatable story. Kind of what you just said as you brought me up is such a relatable story. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that is a good idea. And so, I bought the certification and I kind of dinked around with it and did a couple chapters and stuff and didn't really dive into it. But when I did make the decision to move back to Fargo Moorhead and got into Metroflex and stuff like that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like, I need to finish this cert and start my business and just do something for myself, because I kept running into this issue with like careers. I had worked at US Bank for 5 years. I had been bartending at that time for 3 or 4 years. And it's like, I would get really, really good at it and really skilled. And then I wouldn't necessarily want to move into management or anything. And so I would like move into something, get really good at it really, really fast. And then I'd be bored out of my mind. And I hated it. I would be so bored all the time.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Especially being in that scene. I mean, you're on a different wavelength at that time, and you're stuck up in that scene. So I could imagine.
Yeah, I can't even go to the bar nowadays. I'm like,
so
it's just crazy.
Go ahead.
We, I mean, there was, at the time when I was bartending, man, there was me and one other guy that worked there. And I mean, we were, at that time, there's a lot more skilled bartenders out there, but for Fargo, North Dakota and what we were doing, like, we were the fastest ones around. And it was crazy. Like, we got super fast. And then it got to a point where I was like, that was fun, but now I'm bored. Like, this isn't fun to be that fast anymore. There needs to be, I need another level. At one time I was a mixologist and I really, really enjoyed it, because I think had I like lived out here in Arizona back then and been able to be a part of a cocktail program that was continuing to elevate and pushing each other back and forth, that it would maybe have been a different story. But obviously we know that's not simply the case in Fargo.
Yeah, they just drink. Nothing fancy, nothing special. They just drink here. So you become a personal trainer in 2015-ish. Is that about right? Yeah. Yep.
2016 was when I got my official certification.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember you working your way up to it. I remember you asking like, "Hey, I'm working on this cert. Once I get it, what are the chances of me being a trainer here?" And I think I pretty much just said, as long as you got the cert, man, let's get you in and see what we can make happen. And in Metroflex, when you were training, I mean, I've seen you go through a lot of clients and work with a lot of different people. You were primarily targeting weight loss clients because that was just your niche. But in the process, you started evolving and doing some continued education and doing some studying under certain particular people in areas of fitness that you found an intrigue in. And that leads you into what you do now today, which is intentional strength, correct?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, intentional strength training is primarily strength and conditioning training geared towards women, just providing a foundation, because one of the biggest things that women are missing is essentially just enough muscle tissue. So a lot of women have weight loss resistance issues. They have metabolic maladaptation issues, gut and hormone issues, if you're really deep diving into that, down that pathway further. But first and foremost, they lack enough muscle tissue. Whereas you look at a lot of these like bodybuilders, meatheads, bigger guys, like, we don't really have as many of those issues. When we have enough muscle tissue on us, we don't necessarily deal with so much of those issues from a metabolic standpoint. It's definitely not as common in us, but what do we see in women is we see lack of muscle, lack of strength, and that causes just a cascade of so many other potential problems. So one of the biggest, like, I think, foundations of health for women is just getting them strong and getting them confident in being strong.
Yeah. The biggest misconception with women is they think if they pick up weights, they're going to get all jacked and bulky and look like a man. And that's just, it's so not true. And it's not even remotely close to being that simple.
Well, it's crazy because it's like, if that was the goal and that was how it worked, I mean, there'd be a lot of people that were just jacked, you know,
a lot less bikini competitors. Yeah, for sure. So fast forwarding a little bit because I want to talk about a lot more than just how you got here, but just you have such a wide base of knowledge and things that we can pick your brain about. And I know Dion wants to get into some of that too.
For sure.
You then eventually moved to Arizona, and at the time you were still doing GQ Fit. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at the time when no, actually, so when I made the decision to move, at the time, my business when I was at Metroflex was General Quad Fitness, kind of a pun off of my initials.
Yeah.
And when I transitioned, I made the decision to rebrand as you know, I listened to a lot of Andy Frisella's podcast. And, at the time he was just starting to create Arate. And I fell in love with like the name and like everything that it meant in like Greek mythology and all of that stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to start Arate Health and Fitness. Well, I started that, got the brand made some swag, passed it out to a lot of my clients. And when I got out here and I was actually trying to form the LLC, somebody had already formed the LLC that was in a little bit of a different career field. So I couldn't touch it. I couldn't touch the brand. And slowly but surely over the first like 6 or 9 months that I was here, all of a sudden, there was just a common theme in my life of living life intentionally, training intentionally, dieting with intention, all of those things. And all of a sudden it just kind of popped into my head one day and I was like, intentional strength training. And it really resonated with me when I was able to sit down with the graphics girl and make the logo. I really enjoyed what we came up with for our logo.
I like the logo, by the way. I see you're wearing that. I was looking at it earlier and I identified right away and I was like, okay, this is a sick logo.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just a very identifiable logo at the end of the day. And it means a lot to me because it's kind of just, ever since I got into this is just training with intent meant so much to me because so many people just work out. And I don't believe in quote unquote working out, going into the gym and picking random exercises and really just having my biggest driving thing in my career from the very get was why. Constantly asking why am I doing this lift? Why am I doing this many sets and reps? Why am I using this tempo? All of those factors.
That's good. And also with like the branding aspect, it's like you want to have something you can show off, you want people to be able to show it off. Like when I wear H&I nutrition stuff, I'm happy to do it. When I'm wearing the Metroflex flexing logo, I'm happy to wear that. I'll wear that out to the store. I wore it to the mall the other day. The guy's like, "Oh, you work at Metroflex?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I work over there." They're like, John? I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, it's how it works, So, it's something you're proud to wear, and obviously you can see that. And I'm sure your clients are happy to wear that same stuff. So it's definitely a solid logo, solid name, a lot of meaning behind it. So
yeah, I like understanding why you changed to that because I was actually curious about that because I knew originally it was General Quad, which GQ Fit. I love the way you play off that. And then I remember when you were Arate, and then all of a sudden you were Intentional Strength, and I never really got the details of how that went down or what became of it. But it's a cool backstory, man. So props to you for kind of finding that something that had more meaning for you and then running with it because I think it worked out. It looks like you have yourself pretty established in Arizona too, and you're building quite the team over there. So as it stands right now, as far as in-person training or where you're working, tell us a little bit about that. Are you at a specific gym in Arizona? Do you have a team built around you or what's going on right now with Intentional Strength in Arizona?
Yeah. So we train out of Glory Gains Gym in North Scottsdale, Arizona. And as it stands right now, we have a handful of hours that we provide small group training. I am currently handling a client load of 5 one-on-one clients, as well as 30 online clients that I do far more in-depth work with. The small group, I am actually currently, so my most recent intern took another opportunity. She was offered an opportunity closer to where she lives, and that just fits and suits her needs better and the client base that she was looking to bring in. So unfortunately, we, stepped away, parted ways, and it's no hard feelings between either of us. I understand the opportunity she was offered, and so I've taken that opportunity. I had taken that opportunity to step back and just kind of reflect and take some of the takeaways from that experience, and I plan on building out small group a little bit more, building up more client base in that small group training, just because I have the programming, it's effective. The people that are in it love it. They love the community. I have the reviews to show. So now it's just getting a few more heads in the door, and then building out an intern to eventually take over that small group training and continue to build them up as a coach.
Nice.
How soon are you looking to get another trainer in there with you? Obviously, you have some big goals.
I have some goals. Right now of I want to get to, by April 1st, I want to have a minimum of like 16 clients in small group with, a couple in the pipe, basically, like a couple consults coming up. I'd like to have 16. So by April 1st, I'd like to begin looking again for another intern, have them on the floor with me within a couple of weeks of that, midway through April, and then basically for full-time training by around July, to take over that caseload of clients.
So with that being said, what does it look like? I don't know where I was going with that. I'm thinking. My brain's spinning. I got a lot of things I want to say, and I don't know when to say them.
Yeah. So I'll jump in here and help you out here, Dion, because primarily working with women, do you take on male clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually recently kind of really found that I do, the males that are coming to me right now, I really enjoy working with them. I have 2 men in my small group training, Avery and Tristan. Tristan's been with me now for 20 months. He's really coming up on his 2-year mark really fast, and he's been in small group the entire time. And the kid has made incredible progress. He actually broke his back in high school and had spinal surgery. And he's gone on to, he's deadlifted like 315 with me. He's squatted like upwards of 275 pounds for 4 reps, like I think 6 to 8 reps. Today, we were finishing up a global conditioning phase this week. He hit 5 sets of 8 at 185 in under 7 minutes with a superset of chin-ups, with only 30 seconds rest between. So he would squat his set of 8, do a set of 8 chin-ups, resting 30 seconds in between both, and completed that in just under 7 minutes.
That's really cool.
That's crazy. And you said he broke his spine?
Yeah, like had full-on back surgery in high school. From deadlifting incorrectly. So we've worked a lot. We've managed to work through a lot of like mental blocks, like mental stories in his head of fear of that. And he's incredible, which is like, it's funny is if he was here, the first 8 weeks he was in my small group program, I was like, this kid's never going to be able to do a hip hinge. He's never going to be able to do a squat. I would like watch his mechanics and they were terrible, but through a lot of patience and just simply appropriately regressing movements to get him to eventually be able to progress, he crushes it.
Yeah, it's just basically like restarting at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with that fear in the back of your head of always thinking this is going to happen again,
Yeah, attacking the very thing that broke your back, again, would be, I think, enough fear alone.
It's definitely, it's scary. It's scary stuff.
So in terms of you being able to help people in this area with, recovery and proper form and things of that nature, where did you, or how did you go about evolving your credentials and your knowledge base and whatnot? Are you I know you're continuing your education, but just tell us about some of the programs and things that you're involved with, and the people that you're working with in terms of excelling your knowledge base.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's come from just trial and error. Obviously, uh, education without application is bullshit. You have to be able to
Agree
apply what you
100%.
learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that just comes with reps. It comes with, rep after rep after rep after rep, just like it is in the gym. It comes in your career field of watching people move over and over and over and over and over again. So it comes down to reps. It comes down to, I started my education journey. It's already, I think, like 3.5 years ago now. Maybe it's either 3.5 or 4.5, with some seminars with Eugene Teo and John Meadows, rest in peace. And then we went down to Tampa and I saw Eugene and hypertrophy coach down in Tampa. And then I started with Muscle Nerds, and then I've progressed through a lot of their stuff, from foundations to program design to their nutrition course. I've done some stuff with Kilo Strength, originally based out of Huntington Beach. They recently moved their business to Miami. And also Sam Miller's functional nutrition. That's more so like that hormone side of things. And then just, trial and error, basically. A lot of my regression and progression knowledge has come from Luke Lehman and the program design course through Muscle Nerds that I go through, and understanding, like, just really, I started it today as I'm starting a video series that I will call is basically, don't get married to a movement, get married to a movement pattern. So understanding that we have to stop looking at everything as a movement and start looking at more so as a movement pattern, and understanding that when you open your mind to that door, it can completely change your perspective on training and how you approach program design. An example of this would be like a hip hinge, right? So we think of deadlift and RDL. That can be regressed all the way down to a Polish good morning, which is a single leg variation of the good morning. Basically, you put your one leg up on, say, a 12-inch box, and you can load it a number of different ways. You could start with body weight. You could start with a bar in your back. You could start with a kettlebell front loaded. So you're making sure for quality thoracic extension and abdominal bracing. And then basically you go into that hinge with only one leg, and you can build a lot of strength and progress through that movement, avoid back pain, lumbar issues, stuff like that. And then the next progression from there, you might look at doing, depending on where you're at, you might go into a seated good morning for a phase, and then move into good mornings. And then you could move into an RDL, right? So like regressions and progressions, understanding that there's no movement that can't be regressed to a degree of capability to then basically just work your way back into that movement.
Like building blocks to the movement.
What was that?
I said building blocks to the movement, basically. Yeah. We know it's funny too, because when you came to town, me and Garrett actually trained together, just a kind of an opener to what we had to train that day. And we did RDLs, and I was telling him I never do these. I use machines and everything else. But we went pretty damn heavy on RDLs for never doing them. I haven't stopped doing them since you left. I do them every leg day, twice a week now. I'm in love with the movement, bro.
Yeah.
And I do 405 for reps every time now. It's like I'm just in love with the movement.
He's strong. He's just strong.
Now start to progress every week, John. So like, what are you doing for sets and reps?
I do 4 sets, and I do 6 to 8 reps, and I just work my weight up each time. So I start usually at I do 1 plate. I'll do like 20 reps to warm up, and then I'll just throw on 2 plates, and I'll just work my way up to 3, and then 4 is my final.
So next week when you hit your 405, or actually start at like, go 395 for set 1 of working, 405 for set 2, then go to 415 because you can handle it. Go to 415, and for your final set, either go to 420 or go to 425, and just start tinkering that way. And then the following week, provided you get all 4 sets at 8 reps and you're able to perform there, you want to continue to progress. Is go the following week would be set 1 of working would be 405, set 2 415, set 3 that 420 or 425, whichever you did the week before, and then just progress up from there to 425, 430, or 435, and go. You just want to continue to inch up, to continue to make that progress. That's the biggest thing over the course of this last year. I think my top set of RDLs, like last year when I started doing them, was like, I think I hit 315 pretty quickly. And by November of this past year, before I got a nasty virus for about 8 weeks, I hit a top set of 455 for 8.
Yeah, it'll be a minute before I get there probably, but I'm definitely going to work my way up to it because I like the movement. I'm getting real comfortable with it. I never did them because I just didn't care to.
Yeah.
But after doing them and going as heavy as I did, I just loved the way it felt. You know, for me, because I train legs twice a week, I'm trying to find movements that I can feel again. And after I did those with Garrett, I was sore for days, bro. So I was like, I like this. I want this feeling again. You know, I missed it. So I've been incorporating them every training or every leg day, and I'm in love with it. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of training, in 2016, 2017, Garrett was actually my first coach for weight loss. And I obviously liked bodybuilding at the time, but that was never the intention. And we did a great job. I think I was around that like 195 range, and I got down to like 175, I want to say, or so.
Yeah.
So almost to one of the lightest weights that I had weighed.
Yeah, I always forget you started out with Garrett. That's right.
Yeah. And it was a very good time. He taught me a lot about training, weight training, and dieting as well. I was eating a lot of food, so.
Yeah, I remember when you first started getting cut up, and so we were like, "Dang, this
dude's
really putting in the work out here." Yeah, so that's cool. Cool link up.
Dude, I still have Snapchat memories of your back when you were like 17.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I have some throwbacks from that too. I had to post those sometime because it's crazy how
at 17 though too. It was dope. I remember that was when we all started saying this kid's got something in him, man. He needs to get ready to step on stage or do something, and eventually you ended up doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy the body transformation that I've made since 16, but this isn't about me.
So Dion, tell us. No, that's awesome, Gary. I'm super happy for the success you're having, man. It's a really dope thing to see. I'm a true believer in your knowledge as well, so that's you've come just such a long way, and I always preach, you know, like I love people when they have the education. I love when people, you know, have the degrees and all that stuff. I'm not against the certificates when people come through with certificates. I'm all about that, but I like to see them continue to evolve and get new knowledge and educate themselves as often as they can. And I don't think you have to. In fact, I think there's better systems out now. And Garrett, you could probably attest to this, than just going to college and getting the basic, you know. I don't even know what the term I want to use is, but just, you know, the basics of fundamentals to be a personal trainer, you know, to get your degree or whatever. I think it's so low level in comparison to all the programs and things that are available now via online coaching and like Garrett, the people you've worked with, like Luke Lehman and you know, the
muscle
nerds and all that. So like those types of programs, you're seeing a lot of people take those up now and continue their education that way, and in fact probably coming out even better than when they were in a 2-year degree.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the kind of data they're using is always changing. It's incredibly lucrative in the sense that it's going to be from 2016 is what you're learning from in the school book. So it's like, is it worth it?
And then when you apply things too, so when you, like, I used to be a trainer in the corporate industry, not like a personal trainer for fitness, but I always got such a good knowledge base when I taught other people how to do the shit.
Yeah.
You know, and then that evolved and I started to understand things and see things more clearly and stuff. So it's the same concept when you see people do these, like what Garrett's done and what some of our trainers do, and they take these classes, they travel for these big seminars, and you know, they just gather so much information and education from people who are actual practitioners, not just a teacher who's at a college who in some case scenarios have probably never even applied any of this stuff actually trains. They just teach you the science of personal, physical fitness and things of that nature. So, and I know you do that. I've watched you do it for many years now since you've left us, and I can tell that your knowledge base is way more expansive than it ever was. So, props to you, man, because I saw you finding your niche back in the day too. I knew you were going to end up working with women because you had this, you had these guys that you followed and that you looked up to and that you always reached out to for information and learn, and they were kind of some glute guru guys and stuff. So I was always like, this is going to be Garrett's path. He's going to work with girls, or he's going to become one of those guys that works with glutes and specializes in certain areas. And sure enough, that's where you are. So props to you, man, because I'm a believer of it. I can see clearly that you truly mean what you have to offer, and you take a lot of your own personal finances to continue your education and grow your knowledge base. And I know you've invested a lot of money in doing so. So it's really good to see you do that, bro. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means the world. We mentioned this on the last recording is, John is, it wasn't long after I started coaching there, you honored me and took me out to dinner because I was doing well and bringing business in and creating my own business back then. And at that point, I had asked you a question. I was like, now what's next? And you literally looked at me and you just simply said, become the best personal trainer possible. And I've held on to that now for almost 5 years and continue to chip away at that mark, I guess, if you will, day in and day out with continuing the education and investing in that. Like I said briefly, I was literally on a 2-hour mentorship call with my coach right before we hopped on this call. So
nice. Yeah, that's cool, man. I don't, when I have conversations with people like that, I don't just spew shit out because I want to say it or, trying to sound cool. I didn't know I was inspiring you at that point either. I was just saying something and in hopes that, it meant something to you because I was speaking genuinely, and to see that you take it to heart that way and that you've carried that with you through your journey to progressiveness, that's fucking dope, man. And I appreciate that. The credit. So, hey, huge props to you. You've got a lot going on. I know you have plans to continue to evolve and grow things bigger. You do online coaching as well. Is there anything particular, I guess, in the fitness industry within the realms of what you do that you're looking to, that you have as a goal right now, or that you're trying to accomplish and get to a certain point in your career?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, where it stands is my goal. Is this obviously, even since the last time we spoke, is definitely, as an entrepreneur, and this, John, is like, you have a vision and sometimes things happen and get in your way and whatever. And you have to learn to either pivot or, just buckle down even harder. At this point, it still stands. What I spoke to you guys about a couple of weeks ago is, I want to have a team of coaches helping roughly 150 athletes in small group training, basically getting women stronger, providing them with the tools to believe in themselves, to get stronger, to be healthier, to be more metabolically flexible, which just simply means like they're able to, have more of the body shape that they desire, eat more of the foods that they enjoy, and not be sick and unhealthy. Sure. And so that is the current vision that I'm working towards, is building that up, because I've found recently that I have a passion for coaching coaches, and why not basically bring on my own team of coaches and coach them. I just recently signed my first mentorship student, basically someone that I will be spending 1 to 2 hours a week with, mentoring and answering their questions and walking them through things such as program design and gut and hormone health and protocols and stuff like that to help them.
That's crazy. You got to be really confident in your knowledge base to be willing to coach other coaches and take on that kind of
for sure.
feedback and questioning and dependency and things of that nature. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and just being able to answer some of those questions those people have, if they're the right type of coach that you'd like to have on your team, they're going to be asking you all kinds of questions, and you're going to have to give them the actual scientific breakdown, because like a normal client isn't necessarily going to ask you the in-depth question. They're going to say, why am I doing this? And then you just have to give them something they can understand. This coach that you're bringing on or mentoring, you're going to have to give them that in-depth, deep dive.
More than the why.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that takes a lot of, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure for sure.
A lot of time, a lot of, you really have to know what the hell you're talking about.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I've seen a lot of people fake it, man. And we could talk a little bit about some of that stuff too, because I'd like to kind of just go a little bit all over. But we brought this up in one of our last podcasts too, about just like the imposters that come into different scenarios and different facets of entrepreneurship and business and things of that nature. And I think we're seeing a lot of imposters in the fitness industry coming in as coaches and trainers and things of that nature. So I'd like to get maybe just a little bit of your opinion on that, Garrett. The people are having a lot of success doing this right now. And it doesn't take a whole lot to trick people for a while, so to speak. You know what I mean? I've seen people have success with, getting people signed up to a 3-month program, 6-month program, and have some good success with that. Build a pretty good client base, but then after that 6 months period is up, those people figured them out, and they just move on to the next one, and they continue to do this. They run cookie cutter programs, no real dynamic systems go into what they're giving people. They're just very run of the mill. Here you go. Here's your. This is a caloric deficit, and you just got to work out X days a week. I see that a lot. In fact, I've talked to a kid recently who is hiring his first bodybuilding prep coach out in California, and he hits me up now. I get people asking, because I own a gym and I own a supplement store. People come to me all the time and ask me if I'm a trainer, if I do this, if I do meal plans and all, and I don't do any of that stuff, and I would never pretend to act like I have the knowledge base to do it. I have a knowledge base to conversate with anybody about this stuff, but I would never want to put it upon myself to be responsible for other people, because I don't have the prerequisites for something along those lines. But he came to me and just said, "Hey, can you help me out? This is what I got from my coach today," and it was literally eat this many fats, this many proteins, and this many carbs. That was his meal plan from his bodybuilding prep coach for his first natural show in California. And my first instinct was like, dude, don't hire this guy. If this is the plan he sent you, don't hire this guy. And so right out the gate, I knew, I'm like, this guy's a fraud. Yeah. And he's just like, well, he's worked with a lot of athletes. He's brought a couple guys into shows. I'm like, okay, but what do these guys look like? It's one thing if you take someone into a show, but what did they look like? How good did they do? What was their genetic makeup to begin with? Because I've seen a lot of people fraudulently take on really sound genetic people and be like, yeah, these are my clients, and they win and they won. And it's just like, cool, but can you repeat that? Or can you build that from scratch? Because when somebody comes to you with a well-rounded physique, it's not going to take a whole lot to really do something
make
for
them.
Lose
some fat,
make them, cut a little bit or whatever. Most guys, wouldn't even need cutting in that case scenario, and they're just like, no, we'll just train you for a little bit.
Take some water out. You're good.
I mean, you see that all the time in this industry, and Garrett, I'm sure you do too, man, especially out in Arizona, because you're a much bigger demographic there. But that's just, it seems to be a really big issue, man, and I really can't stand it, to be completely honest. And so many people are infiltrating this industry and pretending that they have something to offer, creating these cookie cutter programs for people. It's just really hard to watch and see happen. So A, credit to you because you're one of the real ones, but B, what are your thoughts on those people, man? I'd love to hear some of your opinion.
Yeah, man. I mean, first and foremost, kind of something that came to mind, and this is really off topic, is, just about anybody can get somebody ready for show if they put them on enough Tren and Clen. But
ain't that the truth?
Yeah, speak.
That's a whole nother topic. But
Dion has a spin off of that too. Don't forget that one. You wanted to ask a little bit more about underage people.
Yeah.
Or at least too young to be taking stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's funny, man, is exactly correct. Is, what I hate is there's two different coaches that I really, it grinds my gears. Is one is the coach who decided to compete. They're young, And they have good genetics and they did pretty well at a local level, right? And magically they become a coach. My other one is that, and we all know guys like this, is the guys who I see them all the time in the industry. They're full-time like business owners, and they've competed, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Maybe they've even become nationally qualified. Maybe they did go do a national show, but they didn't. And all because they've done this for a while, right? Like they've lived this bodybuilding lifestyle of eating clean, that they're somehow a prep coach, and they're somehow, and they, it's their side hustle. Like, I'm sorry, coaching is not a side hustle. It's a full-time, it's a full-time job.
It should be, correct.
Yeah.
And so whatever you need to do, whether you need to be like me and eat dirt for 5 years and be broke as fuck and bartend on the side and whatever, or if you move careers and you have a good substantial amount of savings, it's understand that it's something that in order to become proficient at it, it takes years. And it's something that you should, there's a handful of ways to go about it, I feel like, right, and there's a handful of ways to go about it wrong. And I think one of the right ones is find a coach that you look up to, that that does it right, and be willing to work for them. Be willing to be in it for the long game.
That's definitely true.
Even potentially have to pay for that, because a coach worth their spit isn't going to just give it out for free either. So
like that.
Yeah. Another thing that you brought up too, Garrett, that I wanted to touch on is, because I'm starting to see this as a trend in the industry amongst trainers and coaches, which I think is awesome, because I feel like so many people have a misunderstanding about dieting, nutrition, things of that nature. And what you're seeing the consensus be right now, especially in the younger generation, is everyone comes into this and the first instinct is chicken and rice, bodybuilder diet. You know what I mean? Now I'm on track. I'm getting, I'm cutting right now. Oh, you're cutting? Yeah, chicken and rice all day, every day. It's just like, damn, that, I don't know if that, okay, are you competing?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because you brought that up about, eating right and being able to kind of eat the things that you still love, not make yourself sick, things of that nature. I love that approach that I'm seeing in a lot of trainers is, look, that the truth is, you actually can eat fruit.
You can, yeah.
You know what I mean? It actually is good for you. A bodybuilder prep coach will tell you, no, the sugar's bad and all that. But majority of people who are just trying to eat healthy lifestyle can eat more food than a bodybuilder prep diet.
A weight loss like. and a diet prep, a prep diet is they're two different things.
Yeah. A nutritionist would tell you that a bodybuilding prep diet is not really bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so let's talk a bit about that, because you brought it up, and I do want to touch base, because I want people to understand this a little bit more, and I want to provide at least something beyond just, hey, who's Garrett? But yeah, so let's dig into that, man, because I love that approach. I think it's super sound. I think it's the smart way to do things. It teaches sustainability as well, because you're not like starving yourself. You're not constantly having cravings. You're not like waiting for your next cheat meal or something along those lines. You're really just enjoying life, eating clean, delicious foods, and kind of mixing things up, not eating the same stuff over and over. You're just eating healthy. Yeah. Go more organic, go more natural, go more, whole foods, things of that nature, less processed foods, less dyes. Those are the smart approaches to healthy, sustainable eating. So talk a little bit about that, Garrett, because you did bring it up, and so I imagine you have pretty good insights on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. And I mean, this is, it's funny is my thought process on this, even in the last couple of weeks after this most recent lecture that I just literally got off of, my opinion continues to evolve. I would not say change, but evolve, is, even how most like bodybuilding coaches will prep clients. Like, I think it's going to be changing a lot of like what I'm learning right now from Derek, as far as like, it's possible to just eat more of what you enjoy. And it does not have to be chicken and rice. Like it just doesn't. There's a lot of bad rap that red meat gets, that a lot of what I'm learning right now is
that part too.
People should be eating a lot more red meat. They should be eating a lot more grass-fed butter. They should be eating a lot more raw dairy. So like raw cheeses are becoming more and more popular right now. eating more, if you're going to have milk, have raw milk, because it has fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are critical for optimal function. And actually, when you have sufficient A, D, E, and K, you're far less likely to get, for those of us who are, of paler complexion, white, we're far less likely to get burnt. We have far better hormone signaling. So hormone, I'm getting kind of on a tangent and just kind of really nerdy, but
we like it. Go for it.
I think it's just super important to understand that, like, red meat is not bad. Fruits are not bad. Like they are fantastic for you, packed full of nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And, same thing with, it was funny. I was having a discussion with a client today is honey's not bad for you. Honey has two different types of carbohydrates and vitamins and minerals. Like, it's fantastic for you. Same thing with like maple syrup. Like, it's a great carbohydrate source that you can get in more carbs without the massive amount of volume of food, especially for like a bodybuilder who's in a surplus. They can get a lot more of those carbohydrates they need to fuel their workouts, et cetera, and their muscle growth, without necessarily having to, force feed themselves another meal.
Sure. And I think you were about to kind of talk a little bit about this, and you went into a little bit more deeper on the science of stuff, or the nerdy stuff that you talked about. But bodybuilding prep coaches are leaning more in the direction of actually putting more food on the table, more variety, and getting into some of the more whole foods and organic stuff that you're talking about. Even I've seen some do it. My coach personally starting to really play around with stuff like that a lot too. Yep. I see a lot of other coaches getting into that. Even in the bodybuilding realms and the prep dieting and stuff, they're creating more variety. They're getting a little more open-minded to the benefits of certain foods and the different types of certain foods that you can get. Like you talked about, whole milk, organic milk, I don't know. Did you say something non-pasteurized, things like that? So like you're just seeing,
raw dairy. The biggest thing, John, on your thing is like, so here's the other issue with chicken and rice, right? You're gonna run into nutrient deficiencies. So not only, let's say you're deep into a prep, right? So you're already not giving your body enough food, right? Okay, but let's say you get the shitty coach who's like, yep, you've got 5 meals of tilapia and asparagus. Like, I have recently seen footage of that within the last 6 months from a prep coach in Fargo. I won't name names, but
what's his name? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. We're gonna start hunting.
No, I won't. But you're also running the risk of massive nutrient deficiencies, which, your body needs vitamins and nutrients to run your liver, which your liver is your biggest, like, one of your biggest detoxification pathways. And if it's not getting the appropriate vitamins, nutrients, and minerals, then you're not going to be producing enough stomach acid. So you can't appropriately break down your food, which means you can't appropriately absorb the nutrients, the little nutrients you are taking in. So it's just a cascade effect of more problems. So it is just so critical to be getting in a variety of food and a variety of nutrients, because you can just run into so many problems when you are, essentially starving yourself on purpose. When we're talking about bodybuilding prep, you don't have to starve yourself of nutrients though. And you can get those in if you're putting in things like, red meats, raw cheese, raw dairy, grass-fed butter, the fruits, the honeys, all these things that naturally have a lot of vitamins, nutrients, and minerals.
For sure.
What's the big thing with red meat that they're trying to steer everyone away from it lately? I noticed there's a lot of hype around people not eating red meat and avoiding red meat and whatnot, when it's actually quite the opposite. You should get it. You do need it.
Yeah, because like chicken is a great source of protein. It's one of the most useless foods you can eat. Like it has almost no nutrient value at all.
Right.
And the other problem is majority of your chicken that you get, unless you're buying it organic, is chickens only have one stomach, and you like the statement of you are what you eat is very true. So most chickens are fed corn and I can't remember, there's another one of their feeds. And so basically a majority of their fat on a chicken is polysaturated fat, which polysaturated fat is actually, when it stores in the human body, when we store that, it will hold on, like it's insulin sensitive. So it actually wants to store even more fat versus being burned off. Yeah. It's a lot more resistant to being burned off. Whereas red meat is high in saturated fat. Same thing with the grass-fed butter, the cheese, the this and that. Like Haagen-Dazs ice cream, cheesecake, that's all going to be like high in those saturated fats. Saturated fat is actually insulin resistant and is much more apt to provide satiation, and also is going to be burned off and utilized as fuel a lot more readily than your polysaturated, which is going to be like your nut butters, your seeds, your legumes, all of these things.
Wait, so you're telling us we need to eat Haagen-Dazs?
More cheesecake and Haagen-Dazs. That's what I'm getting.
That's all I heard.
for a cheat meal, absolutely get after it. Have some cheesecake.
Haagen-Dazs.
I could eat a whole cheesecake right now. I swear.
Garrett, I'm gonna set you up with a conversation with my coach, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking John gets a muffin a day.
He's a call a week later. John's like, "Hey, bro, you're hired. Let's go."
No, it's not a day. It's like back days and leg days when I get them.
My bad. I didn't mean to put that
So twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Nah, when he implements them, it's a fun
It's
time.
useful. Yeah.
Right on, man. So let's see. We've covered Garrett, who he is, where he's come from, what he's doing today. Talked a little bit about some industry stuff. What else do we got from him?
I just wanted to put it out there so that I don't know if we mentioned it yet. Are you accepting current in-person clients? Obviously, we don't really have an audience in Arizona, but are you accepting in-person clients? Are you accepting more online clients? Are you open to anybody, or are you more targeting the female demographic or weight loss demographic?
Open to anybody. We are accepting small group clients right now. And like I said, I spoke about the last time I was on. I have probably 3 more spots available on my roster at this point. I just recently, couple clients stepped away, new clients came in the last couple of weeks. I think I've actually signed like 3 or 4 new clients in the last couple of weeks online. So I have about 3 spots left online right now. And the small group clients, like I'm looking for right now currently about 15 to 20 clients to fill basically a complete full roster, to which then, like I said, I'm going to be building out that intern, bringing them in and allowing them to begin to get those reps.
How big is your small groups, or like how big is one small group?
So we max out at 5 clients in an hour. I don't allow any more than 5 in an hour, to still allow for a personalized touch and experience to, get that attention that you need. But also, one of the biggest things that I found out here in Arizona in that small group setting is it truly creates a community. And they honestly come back far more for that community. Majority of my small groups right now, I'm basically a glorified babysitter. I basically make sure that they're not making any poor loading decisions. I make sure to spot them if they, if they need it and it's like a really heavy set, and just make a few, form corrections here and there. But outside of that, like I actually, one thing that's super cool about my small group program is I provide programming directly to their phone. So they actually have access to their program on their phone. They can track their sets, their reps, their time under tension. So if they go on vacation, they're able to continue to do their workouts. They have video tutorials on how to do them. We provide a lot of value in that regard, as far as like making sure that these athletes learn and understand how to train efficiently in a gym.
And since we're in Fargo Moorhead and our gyms aren't necessarily the same as your gym, and we talked about it last time a little bit, how does it work for like an individual who just wanted to come in and train for a day at the gym that you're training out of? And how does it work with like other trainers? Is it just trainers in there, or is it a private gym? How does that go?
Yeah, so it's a primary, like it's like a semi-private foot training facility. So if you come into Glory Gains Gym, you're looking to work with a coach, you can touch base with the owner of the gym, and he will point you in the right direction as the coach that he feels best suits your needs. And or you can always reach out to us. Intentional Strength is listed at the same address. We have our website up, anything you may need to know. It's intentional-strength.com. We have an application, phone number, address, all of that stuff. And we actually have our own office there in the gym. And so you can come in and train. It's a $30 membership if you work with a trainer. Otherwise, it is a $150 private membership if you want to just simply train at a much quieter gym than, you know, a lot of these big box gyms out here.
Okay, nice. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring us to an end here, unless you had something else you wanted to dive into with him, or Garrett, you have anything else you want to put on the table for us, man?
I don't think so. I think I really enjoyed this episode. I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I feel like we were more thorough this
Definitely.
time than even the first time. Unfortunately, you're not in person this time, because that would have been a lot cooler. But I think we were a lot more thorough. We kind of
so too.
Rambled a little bit on the last one and didn't touch some of the key points I wanted to touch, which one of the things like I was talking about was primarily your journey in weight loss and how you've become
Especially
who you are.
It's such a big one.
Yeah, I think
like
that's huge.
It's awesome.
That's your biggest selling point, man, and it's the most relatable thing you can offer anybody, because you can really literally say, I get it.
Yeah.
I know what you're feeling, and you can get past this part. It's hard here. I get it. I've been there. Like that, there's nothing more believable. It's sometimes to some people, and I've heard it and seen it a million times, is like their coach is all ripped and jacked, and they're just like, I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. I don't think he understands. And it's just like, yeah, you might be right sometimes, but in the case of Garrett, he understands.
I mean, and
he gets it.
Especially facing all the adversity at the same time as having the same coping mechanism of eating your feelings. Like a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
a lot of people do that.
Sure.
It's pretty common, you know, so.
Cool, man. Well, hey, a really good episode. I'm glad we got all the stuff that we were able to get out, Garrett. Before we let you go, man, do you want to share some of your social media contacts, things of that nature? Just kind of put yourself out to people if they want to touch base with you, reach out for some online coaching. If you're in Arizona, because Garrett will share this on his side, I'm sure some people out there might see it. So give them an opportunity to come work with you in person, hire you as a coach, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick. And, you know, it's funny, John, you mentioned really quick before we close, is there anything else I wanted to talk about? And I know this is something we kind of spoke about after we finished filming last time, and you guys were interested in hearing about is, you know, do I work with men? I've really found a recent like passion for working with men, especially like more so bodybuilding men, or maybe even strength athletes. Is one of the biggest things that a lot of men and strength athletes are missing is their conditioning. They don't do it. Cardio is going to ruin all their gains. And so I've kind of solved that problem in my education, and finding this education is that there's basically specific phases that I will run my athletes through that get insane results. You know, John, you've seen that, and you wanted to talk a little bit about it. I remember is my dude Tyler, he's been with me now for 6.5 or 7 weeks. We just finished his phase, in total muscle gained in that time frame was like 11 pounds of skeletal muscle. He dropped I think it was like 8 pounds of fat. So he went from like 16.7 down to 9.7% body fat. He went from 193 to 204.7, I think was the most recent weigh-in on an in-body that I saw. And that's just simply, first and foremost, I basically deloaded him, right? I made his body more efficient at partitioning nutrients to all of our think biceps, and then made him more efficient on a global perspective. So using specific styles of training to build up those background systems makes an athlete so much more efficient. So now when we actually go into hypertrophy and we're starting to push more food, it's actually going to go where I want it to go and make him grow faster, leaner, and just more efficiently, because he's also not going to be sitting there doing a set of, Tyler's really strong. And I know plenty of strong athletes like yourself, John, is a lot of times when you get up to those sets of 405 RDLs or 405 squats, you're huffing and puffing and you're resting for 3 to 5 minutes in between sets, and you can't recover. And so what this does is build that ability to recover between sets so you can become even more efficient at that hypertrophy or at that strength block. And it's just the results are nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something that we wanted to kind of touch on quick too. And I was going to ask you earlier too, if you felt confident in say working as a bodybuilding prep coach, and that answered the question right there. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more confident than ever in my skill set to be able to do that. And I actually do have consultation with a potential bodybuilding client, leading him into a prep and helping him through that. So I'm getting excited about that and hope that works out.
That's awesome.
But go ahead.
That's it, man. That's going to be cool to see. I hope you get them and we can watch that journey, because I enjoy seeing the path you're on and seeing the people that you work with and the results that come with the work that you do, bro. I'm super happy for you.
Yeah, it's always fun to expand as well. So it'll be interesting to see how you can take that on head first,
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate that. As far as handles, GQ Fitness on Instagram with an extra S. You can find still my business page on Facebook is Intentional Strength Training. You can also find that on Instagram as well. And the website again is intentional-strength.com.
Intentional-strength.com. Gotcha. Cool.
Good deal.
Yeah. Garrett, thanks again for your time. Thanks for jumping on a Zoom with us to redo the one that we made a mistake on. I hope there's no errors in this one and we can finally put it out. Because if something's wrong with this one, we're just going to have to get in person again and do it the right way once and for all, because this was new to us doing it as a Zoom. I imagine we'll probably do a few more of these over a period of time. So this was our first one. I hope it works out. If this whole video was annoying to watch it because the editing didn't work out, it's Dion's fault. It's because he always has 2 cups in his hands and he can't really hit buttons that well.
It's hard to work a computer. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, man, thanks a lot, Garrett. We appreciate your time, brother. I'm proud of all the success you're having, and I love to see how you've grown and where you've come from. I know personally, so where you're at today is just awesome, a sight to see, and keep killing it, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Anything we can do to help what you got going on out that way, definitely reach out, touch base, and the same vice versa. Hopefully, we'll see you back in town soon for another visit, and maybe sometime soon we'll head out that way and come see you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Not a problem, man. Thank you again as well. And everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you like this podcast and you could take something away from it, by all means, let people know, share it. If you appreciate Garrett, reach out to him, touch base, ask questions. I'm sure you can get some consultation time with him. If you hated everything that you see here, by all means, continue to share it, talk trash, tell your friends how lame it was, explain how Garrett doesn't know what he's talking about and Dion's a fraud, and we can go from there. But as long as you share it and get the word out, that's all we're asking you to do. So appreciate you guys' time. Everybody have a good day. Garrett, take care, brother.